Welcome to the NOSA Unleashed podcast, where we want to expose and remove the stigma surrounding mental health by discussing real-life challenges and obstacles that keep us paralyzed and fearful to move forward. Let us inspire you to believe there is more to life than what you are currently experiencing. Now is the time to end the silence and pursue the path to purpose and fulfillment. We will do this together because no one stands alone. Welcome back to the NOSA Unleashed podcast. I'm Laura Burgoyne, joined here with my sister Connie Blackwood. And today we want to talk about transition in life and how the times when we have to go through change, it's a scary thing. And in fact, that fear can actually hold us back and hinder us from moving forward into our new seasons. And from my experience, new seasons that God brings us into, they're for our good. They're filled with blessings. They're filled with um, new amazing opportunities for us to step into, but we sometimes miss out on those because we have this fear of the unknown. We have this fear of the future. And so Connie, welcome to the conversation. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, we go through many transitions in life, and a lot of times we're not prepared in advance. There are things that happen or things that we lose sight of, and they catch us off guard. And, sometimes we're reeling from the impact of those things in our lives. I even think about like the season when my dad died, like it changed my whole life, not having him around anymore. And, even it's going on 2 years now, but I still go have times where I'm like expecting him to be places or expecting him to say something, and he's just not
Mm-hmm.
there. And so even transitioning when there's a loss is huge, right? Because you have to
Right.
figure out a new normal. And, sometimes along with it comes a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what the new normal looks like in those moments. And that's okay. But we can, instead of looking at that as a bad thing, we can flip that and look at it as a good thing. Like instead of it being, oh, my life's going to be horrible, look at it as a new adventure. Like who can
Mm-hmm.
now be the person who encourages me instead of my dad? Who can be my cheerleader, right? What male role models can I have in my life now that he's not around, right? Not to replace him, but to make sure that I still have those things in my life.
I think transitions are hard, right? Like we almost get comfortable, right? Comfortable in what we know, right? The day to day, even if it's not serving us, right? I even think of my life right now, like there's certain things in my life that would be so much more comfortable just to stay where I'm at. But I do sense that God is calling me into a season of transition and change. And with that comes a whole lot of uncertainty because I don't know what I don't know what the future holds. I don't know what this new opportunity holds. And yet, it's almost like you're on that dividing line, right? You got one foot in the camp of the past and you got one foot in the future, and you're like trying to make this decision, where do I go, right? And, like the Bible says, you can't sit on the fence,
Mm-mm.
right? You either live in the past or you move forward in the future.
For sure. I can think of, in the even a few months ago, well, I guess it's more than a few months ago. It's over a year ago now. Wow. God had us transition from our old church to our new church, and we had a foot in each camp.
Right.
And that was a really difficult season because we were like, we can do everything. No, you can't. And
Mm-hmm.
we were scared to let go. But at the same time, God was like, I've called you to this new place. You need to let go of the past. And when we said we need clarity, He gave us clarity in a beautiful, brilliant way. And,
Mm-hmm.
at the time, it didn't feel good. But God was like, well, since you're not listening to me, we're going to have to do this the hard way then, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And sometimes we're like that because we don't want to let go of the things that are comfortable. We don't want to let go of the places where we feel safe when God's calling us into the unknown. But I can tell you, the last year has been amazing because we've stepped into the new place that God wants us. And we've seen Him move in huge ways. And we're very excited about where He has us now. And it makes so much more sense. Like, and so it doesn't have to be a bad thing, the unknown.
Hmm.
And in fact, most of the times it's a good thing because it's moving us forward, it's growing us, it's challenging us, and it's always for our good. And so it's just about trusting that God has our best interests at heart. Trusting that John 29:11 is what it is, right? For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. So he's not telling us what's coming. He's saying trust.
That made me think of something because, we went through a lot of transitions as a child, a lot
Hmm.
of transitions, like even changing schools. Like we moved almost every single year, which meant we had a lot of different schools. So, like, there was always change. And I remember growing up, and I actually started to learn how to enjoy change, how to
Hmm.
enjoy changes and to see the adventure in it. But there's like certain areas of my life where it's just like I tend to just hang on for dear life to the past, right? And it's like, okay, Lord, why can't you just um have this sense of adventure about everything, right? That you know what? Yes, that past season is coming to a close, but whatever comes next is going to be just as good or even better, right? Like I have reasons to be excited for what's coming because God has never let me down, right? He has
Hmm.
never disappointed me, right? Maybe he didn't answer me in the timeline I wanted, but the outcome has always been better. The outcome has always been a blessing. And so it's like being able to, not just in the small things, but in the larger things, the things that we maybe hold more dear to ourselves, uh, just get to the place where we're ready to let go and willing to have this new perspective, like you said, that it can be an adventure. The unknown, the future doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be something that we fear. It doesn't have to be something that causes us anxiety. And this morning, actually, because I do a morning devotional Monday to Fridays, and this morning God actually had me reading in Psalm 139. And we know that as the chapter of, God knew us in the womb, He knows all of our days, all of those things, which is true. But that wasn't the part that stood out to me. The part that stood out to me was the part where he knows all of our thoughts before we even think them.
Hmm.
He already knows our anxious thoughts. He already knows our fears about the future. And he says, "Come to me, cast them on me." And, the last part of Psalm 139 is, "Lord, search my heart, search my anxious thoughts, and lead me in the way everlasting," right? Lead me in the way that I should go. So it's not that God is, put aside by our fears. He's saying, bring them to me and let me help you through them, right? Because a lot of times too, when we have these fear of the future and uncertainty, we hide it from God, right? We try to deal with it on our own. We try to figure it out on our own, but this is just one more area where we can trust God, where we can bring even our fear about the future and fear about the uncertainty of what's coming and bring it to God and let Him direct our steps.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know, the more that I trust God with things and just enjoy the adventure, the more that I actually enjoy life and have
Mhm.
so much more peace and joy and actually get to like experience those moments and not just miss out on them because I'm so caught up in anxiousness and fear and stress, right? Like it's a completely different experience. And so
Mhm.
I've noticed like the days when I'm stressed out and I'm like all anxious about the future, I have very little joy. I am very self-focused. I'm not the person I want to be. And then when I embrace the adventure, all of a sudden I'm like, okay, this person needs someone to talk to, or this person needs this. And all of a sudden I'm the person that I want to be, able to step out and see the needs around me and start meeting them. And it's awesome. But when I'm so focused on me, I lose sight of that. And I feel like the fear throws you into a me mindset
Mm-hmm.
where I can't trust it because I can't, I don't have a plan for this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the whole part of like being able to trust God with it, like releasing it and letting it go and letting Him do something with it. And it's so beautiful when He does, like, it just
Mm-hmm.
blows my mind.
And when we're me focused, that's where insecurity comes in, because we
Hmm.
know in ourselves we can't do it, right? Like I'm inadequate or whatever. But when we look at what God's capable of, then we know we can do it, right? And it's like I see so many, when I reflect back, I see so many times where God brought me through transition that my biggest fear was that I won't be able to do it. I won't be successful. I won't be able to complete the things that I feel God's leading me into right now. But when I've gone into it trusting God, not only was I capable of it, but man, I did it well. I did it with excellence because God was with me, because I wasn't doing it in my own strength, right? And so when we have that inward focused, it's the word is insecurity, right? We're trying to find security in ourselves, but
Right.
that's not where our security comes from. That's not where our strength comes from. That's not where, the giftings and the callings that we've gotten, it didn't come from me, it came from God, right? And so it is God who will take us into these next seasons. He will equip us, He will give us the words to speak, He will open the doors, He will give us the opportunities. The only thing that we're called to is to walk forward in obedience.
Hmm.
And that is the beautiful part. We just have to go along with God in this journey and trust Him along the way and watch what God will do in your life. It will be incredible. It'll be things that you never imagined possible. And this is my encouragement to you guys today. Don't hang on to the past. We're all in a transition right now, and it's time to let go of that and let go of the fear of what will come next and trust God.
Yeah, stepping out into those new things and allowing it to be an adventure for you, allowing yourself to be excited about it instead of fearful about it, and embrace what goodness is coming because it's exciting to be able to see some of the things that God has for you that you may not have even thought were possible.
So, Connie, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but what are some things right now that you feel God's transitioning you into?
Hmm.
And do you feel that there's, this pull to stay where you're comfortable, or are you feeling more propelled into stepping into it with courage and boldness and just seeing where things take you?
So, um, I'm a newly ordained minister. Yay. Um,
Yay!
it's pretty fresh still, and so that's probably my biggest transition right now is what does that now mean for me? And what does that require of me? And it has been a transition. And it's not that it's more work, it's that my work has shifted a little and it's been different, and I feel like it's impacted all areas of my life. And I I've actually been able to embrace it as an adventure. Um, I do have moments where I'm like, okay, is this really me, my life right now? Like,
Mhm.
because I'm like looking where I've come from, and I'm like, and God doesn't want us focused on where we've come from. He wants us focused on where we're going. Not that we shouldn't have self-reflection, that's always a good thing, but he doesn't want us looking back and longing for the past like the Israelites did with Egypt. He wants us looking forward and embracing the future. And so those moments when I'm looking back going, oh, life was easier, are those moments
Right.
when I really feel like I need to let it go and just trust. And then I can step more into things. And so even this last weekend, I saw a woman crying and I was like asking God, okay, do I step in or do I wait? And just see if someone else will do it. And I really felt like God wanted me to. And then I said, well, if I'm supposed to, then have her turn around. And as soon as I said that, she turned around and I'm like, okay. And I immediately went because I knew that was God saying, go, because it was so weird that she would turn around right at that moment. And so I went up to her and God gave me the words to speak. And I feel like I made a difference in her life that day. And had I not gone, who knows what would have happened for her
Yeah.
because she was so upset. And I was able to speak to her situation in that moment. And I think there's times in our lives when we are her. We're devastated and we're praying that God would bring somebody. So we need those people that are willing to jump in too, right? And
Mhm.
so we're a lot of times we were on one side or the other, but I also feel like I felt more free to be able to do that than I used to, probably because I'm in this new season of life. And that's kind of part of it, right? Stepping into the painful moments in people's lives and helping them through that, that is part of that. And so I really felt like that was me stepping into my new purpose. And that was kind of exciting for me, actually, to be able to walk away going, knowing I changed her day, you know,
Mhm.
the trajectory of her day. So it's been powerful just to see God moving and doing things. And it's not always a cup of tea. Like I've had some days that are like, oh, we try to help these people and it's not working because they're not listening. And so it feels daunting in those moments, but at the same time, we're all human and we all fall back to old patterns. And so just recognizing that and moving forward. Not that I didn't do my part, it just means I need to pray more
Mhm.
and give them grace because God does give us grace all the time. So, yeah, so it has been a journey and I'm excited where God's taking me in this. And yeah, thanks for asking, I guess. How about you? What season of life are you transitioning into?
Well, before I answer that, I just want to make a comment, which is another thing that I feel like God is shifting you in is like your mindset, right? Because,
Mhm,
before, you it's not that you've changed. Your skill set hasn't necessarily changed, but your
mhm,
mindset around what you've been called to and what your responsibility in this season has changed, right?
mhm. Yeah.
Because now you realize that with the title also comes responsibility. And I think that's cool because that in itself helps you shift from a previous season to a new season
Mhm,
where it's like, you know what? Now, since I am a newly ordained minister, what is required of me? And I think that was an important question for you to ask yourself because in every new season, there will be something new required of us, right? And so,
mhm,
we're going to have our mindset shift each time we go through these transitions of like, okay, what is, like you said earlier, what is my new normal? What is,
mhm,
what is my new baseline, right? Because each time we grow, each time we transition, there's going to be a new baseline, right? Which I think that is really cool for you to just recognize that you didn't necessarily change, the way that you operated didn't necessarily change, but your mindset around who you are and what God's called you has changed, which I think is incredible, right? For me, I mean, there's many transitions happening right now. Um, I have children growing up and moving out of the house, which is an interesting change for me. I also have God really speaking to me about shifting um, my businesses in certain directions, which in itself is a challenge because, you know, you've when you do things for such a long time a certain way, it's hard sometimes to deviate from that and to go a new direction, right? And for me personally, there's actually quite a bit of fear associated with these changes because the underlying question is, will I be able to do it? But at the end of the day, when I really ask myself that question, yes, I know God can do it through me because it's not even about me, right? And so I'm learning, and it's just one more of those moments where it's like, you know, you just let go of the expectation, let go of, you know, what was comfortable before. You know, I almost picture it as like a really heavy backpack or a suitcase, right, that you've carried around from the previous season, and it's time in order for me to move forward, I kinda just need to let it go. Just kinda offload it and see what God puts in my new suitcase, right? And so that's kinda where I'm at right now. It's just like, "Okay, God, what do I take with me into this new season, and what do I let go of?"
Mhm.
Almost that discerning process. And, you know, God always brings us clarity. If we ask, God will always give us the clarity that we need. And I think the biggest challenges in transitions is sometimes we don't take the time to slow down and ask God, right? We try to figure it out on our own. And when we do that, that's where that fear cycle just goes crazy. But when we trust God and we wait for his counsel and then we step in obedience, then it's so much easier.
Well, and that's where the insecurity comes in again because we know what we're capable of or what we think we're capable of. But like you were saying earlier, in Psalm 139, God actually knows what he's designed us to do. And he already knows our future because he lives outside of time. So if
Mhm.
he says that we're able to do something, then we can because he's designed us
Yeah.
to do that. And yeah, of course, we need his help to do it, but he's already built us to be able to do those things. And so I think sometimes we lose sight of that in the midst of our own insecurity because we're so caught up in like, well, what I can't see myself doing that.
Mhm.
Like even when before I wrote my book, like I couldn't see myself finishing a book. Yet I
Mhm.
did it with God's help and other people's help. I did it, you know? And I think sometimes we get lost in the insecurity and the doubt of how we're going to get there and what it's going to look like. And I think we just need to embrace what God is taking us through. It's a journey with him, not a journey without him.
I think it's really cool too that you don't do this in leaps and bounds. We
Mm-mm.
do it one step at a time. So the question is, can I take the next step? And the answer is always yes. I can literally take the next step towards calling me to. So if I just keep taking it one step at a time, then I'm going to get there, right? I don't have to take you know, go ahead 10 steps at once, right? Like God's not that confused. He knows each step of the way and he will guide us through each step and we just have to follow his lead and be willing to continually move in the direction that he's leading us. Which I think if we can do that, that removes a lot of the anxiety, right?
Mhm.
Because if we have a knowledge and belief that God will never leave us or forsake us, he's not going to lead us into something that will be harmful to us. And in fact, his plan for us is to prosper us, give us a hope, give us a future, to make us a blessing in this world. Then we've got to believe that wherever he's leading us is going to have that outcome.
Oh, for sure. I agree. And I've even experienced that where, I'm on a path and I have been nervous about it, but it's always ended up in a good place when I'm following where God is leading. When I try to follow my own path, it's not a pretty picture.
Yeah.
And I end up more frustrated than anything else because it never ends the way I expect it to.
Mhm. So, Connie, if you could summarize what we talked about today for our listeners, what would you say?
Hmm. I would say that the fear and insecurity that you feel about the future and about letting go of the season you're coming out of is something that you can free yourself from. And it's by one simple action, and that's just moving forward and trusting that God has something good for you, that He has a good path for you, and He's designed that path for you to walk it, and He journeys with you so you don't do it alone.
Mhm.
How about you? How would you summarize it?
Um, I guess I would summarize it in just trusting God, right? Like, and walking in obedience. This is the one thing that God challenged me on this week is, when He brings us revelation of what we need to do and we don't do it, we're actually being disobedient.
Mhm.
And there were some things in my life, which I haven't even shared with you yet, Connie, but there's some things in my life that God's been highlighting in the last week, which in essence I've been walking in disobedience about because I know the right thing to do, but I just haven't been doing it. And I've
Mhm.
been experiencing some consequences because of it. And, you know, it's a good reminder to us that God's got our best interests at heart. And if we trust Him, then that means we can trust Him with every step of the way. And we can walk in obedience and we can walk in trust and we can move forward and we can let go of the past. And if we trust God, then there's no room for fear. And so that's really, my challenge to everyone who'll be listening to this is that you don't have to fear the future. God's already there. He's already got it. He's already knows the way. He's already going to lead your steps. And so just, quiet yourself to hear from the Lord and then move in that direction. Continue moving towards what God has for you, and it will be something that will be great, something more than you can ever imagine or think. And that's what the Bible says, that what God has for us is more than we could ever imagine or think. And so start believing for those things and start opening yourself up to that possibility and exchange the fear that you have about the future for excitement, for
Embrace the adventure.
expectation of adventure, right?
Sorry.
What did you say?
Embrace the adventure.
Embrace the adventure, yeah. Well, that's all I have to share for today. If you resonate with what Connie and I have been sharing today, and you're like, I just can't get past the fear, I'm just so stuck in uncertainty, insecurity. I know the general direction I need to go, but I just don't know how to get there. We have mentors that would be willing to work with you, walk with you, help you discover some of these things and help you overcome them. And so don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can check us out on our website, see the different mentors that are there, and connect with one that you think would fit best for you. And book online, book with us, and we would love to meet with you. So, um, yeah, you can find all that information on our website at nosafoundation.com. And we will see you next time on the NOSA Unleashed podcast. Bye.
Bye.